Hi team, good evening. How are you doing all? Maybe you can use the chat to answer this. Good evening, Sukanya. Great. Good to hear that. I guess you must have revised the content that we have discussed yesterday. I'm good. Thank you. And maybe we can start with if you have any of the questions from yesterday's session, or maybe by the time we can also wait, somebody else might be also joining. We can start within 2 minutes. And we can discuss on some, like if you have any doubts from the yesterday's session, we can take that as well. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat. Okay, you joined today. No worries, Manoj. The topic that we are taking up today is new. It is not related to what we have discussed yesterday, but yes, it requires a bit understanding on Gen AI and LLM models. Not too much, just basic understanding that would work. Yeah, great. I hope, Manoj, you have used Chat GPT or Gemini or any of the model out there, right? Yeah, great. Then you will definitely get something from today's session. Let's wait one more minute. We can start at 9:05. Okay, everyone. So let's get started with today's topic. I believe you must have gone through what today's topic is. If not, let me introduce what today's topic is. And I believe you must have revised yesterday's discussion that we had. So let's take it from yesterday's. Like it has no relation with what we have discussed yesterday, but it is definitely helpful for anybody who wants to use any of the LLM models. Any of the if you are using ChatGPT, today's session will be helpful for you on how you can get the right answers by just putting in the correct instruction or correct question to the model. Okay, so let me share my screen. Allow me a moment. Let me see if I'm able to share my screen. Let me know if you are able to view my screen. Put yes in the chat. Okay, great. Thanks for the feedback. So yes, today's topic is prompt engineering. We can start with what prompt engineering is, why it is required, and we can discuss more on that. The today's session is not going to be very lengthy, but we are going to see some practical, how the prompting can get you the correct result or maybe better result if compared to a very vague question that you put in. So we will see that in action today. Today's agenda is again different type of prompt that you can give in. It can be zero shot, few shot, chain of thought, and a little complex in that is tree of thoughts. Maybe tree of thought might be a little bouncer to some of us, and we can try to keep it low for now because many of us are just beginner into this. So I believe zero shot, few thought, and chain of thought will be helpful for you guys to understand the concept of prompt engineering. You can take it further to any level, but it is just to start with. The today's session is for that. So first, what is prompt engineering, or what is prompt exactly? What does this term prompt mean? So if I talk about simply, you ask a question from the chat model, you give an instruction. That instruction, what is how the model should answer. That is my prompt. Very layman term that I'm trying right now mentioning. Or I have a really good example. I was thinking about it a couple of days back. And the example can be, you give some instruction whenever you write a paper. I'm sure everybody of us have written answer sheet, like the final examination in your colleges, schools, everything. There is something called instruction at the top of the question paper, and you have all the questions below. Instruction like question number 1 to 5 are short answers. You need to answer in, let's say, 20 to 50 words. And then again, next 5 questions are lengthy question. You need to answer them from 100 to 120 words. So like that, these are instruction that you are getting, and accordingly you will write the answer. This is what we are going to do in here, so that our model understand what it needs to do, right? So this is what the prompt engineering is. The better your prompt is, the output will be molded accordingly, and you can get your desired result, and sometimes even better results if you do not prompt as compared to that. Okay, so in simple terms, prompting is what? It is a set of instruction that you provide to the LLM model for a specific type of outcome. It can be very specific to very specific use case, right? So it is a set of instruction, very simple, very basic, and nothing there is nothing too much into this to understand on that part. Also, it is not just the instruction. If I talk about, it is an instruction and the question that you understand together to write an answer. It is not just that you are just taking instruction at one time and taking question at a second instance. No, you take the instance, you take the instruction and the question, so that you do not repeat the instruction on every question on every page. That's why they are available at the first page, and you by default assume, if you by default take it like that, the instruction that is available, it is applicable to all the questions that are there in the question paper. So it is just that whatever the question is there, it is adding up with the instruction that are available, and you answer it accordingly, right? Also, if I get little into technicalities, prompt engineering nothing, it has nothing to do with the model quality of answer. It has nothing to do with the what the content is coming from the LLM model. No, it has nothing to do. Don't get confused about it. It just mold your answer. It has nothing to do. It does not affect any of the weights or parameters or biases, anything from the internal working of the LLM. What it does is, it simply play around with the answer that you are getting. Okay, so why is it important? The next concept, next, I'm sure you are going to ask why it is important, right? Why it is important? Because it can help you enhance the capabilities of your LLM model. If you are just asking a question without giving any context, or without giving any specific information about the question that you are asking it, you might not get the answer. So like, it's like you might be having a question in your head. You have a very clear question in your head, but you are not putting it to the machine. The machine may not understand what exactly you want, and may not be able to provide the answer you want, right? So that's why prompting is important, so that you can understand, you can give the input to the model, and they are able to understand what exactly you want, and they are able to answer it accordingly, right? So it is just going to mold your answer in the specific format that you want. Is it making sense? Any question? I'll be really happy to answer if you guys have any question, and then we can take it further on different types of prompt engineering. But for now, if you have any question for now, please shoot at me. No, yes, anything? Am I audible? Nothing for now. Okay, great. Thanks, Andeep. Thanks, Amisha, for the confirmation. Let's take it further, and let's now understand what are different types of prompt. How can you prompt different types of prompt? When I say, so it's just not the question. What are the different type of instruction that you can provide? And when I say that you can enhance the capabilities of your model with the help of just prompting. with the help of, so you might be wondering how can we enhance the capacity of like, capability. So like it's like you are putting in a question to the model and it is generating wrong answer. Why? Sometimes it does happen that because the user query that was there, it was very complex. You had answer, you had the process in your head, but the model do not understand that model, that the thought process that you are having. Recently the model that are coming, GPT-4 and the latest model, they already have a bit of thought process that is happening at the back end. But if user query is way too complex, it might not understand. And in the initial days, even like if you put in a very simple complexity of problem, trust me, you would get wrong answer. It I have experienced this, that's why I'm saying. So yes, I can definitely say, and I'm sure you guys will also acknowledge that yes, it is going to enhance the capacity, the capability of my model if I talk about in terms of prompting. So first type in the type of prompting is zero shot prompting. What zero shot prompting is? Anybody any idea what zero shot prompting is? Just just avoid the information that is available on the slide. Maybe you can tell me whatever comes into your head when you hear about the zero shot. Like forget about shot. Something related to prompting and zero. Can you find any relation between these two terms, prompting and zero? Yes, no. Anything that comes into your head without any example. Wow, Avinash, I believe you have a bit of understanding on this. Great. Anybody else? Okay, no worries. I'll take it from here. So, what zero shot prompting is, as the name suggests, zero. You are not giving anything in the input. You just have your instruction available. The instruction may or may not be there, and you have just your user query. That's what we have. Your question. You are putting in your question, and you are asking the model to answer that particular question, right? So the answer that you are expecting out of it, it is like uh, you are asking a question and you are getting an answer, but the answer may not be the way you want it to be. Let me take a example for that, that will help you understand what I'm referring to. Let's say you want to analyze the sentiment of a comment that you have got. Let's say you are analyzing the sentiment analysis of the tweets on certain post, or let's say you have a Instagram post that is there and you want to analyze the sentiment of the comments that you are getting in there, right? So how do you think, you by just putting in the comment to the model and just asking it a key, like you can classify into positive, negative, or a neutral, do you think it will be able to just classify into exact positive, negative? You are just label. Will you be able to get exactly the label the way you want, just by you are putting instruction, classify it into positive, negative, and neutral, and then putting in your comment? Let's take an example and see if it is able to classify. So let's go to. Are you able to see my screen? So let's take an example. Let me just copy the example. Yeah. So this is an example that we are trying to put in, that we need to classify the text into neutral, positive, or a negative, right? That's what we are trying to. And we have a text. The text is, I think the vacation is okay. What do you think? How's the sentiment like in this particular case? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Or is it a neutral? I think it is a neutral, right? Yeah. So, what do you think how the answer should be like? I want just the label. Remember, I just want either it is a positive or a negative or a neutral. Just one single word in the answer. Let's see if it is able to. Oh my God, I don't think I wanted this. This is something I didn't want the model to reply with. I just want a positive or a negative or a neutral. That's it. I do not want anything, right? So this is where the prompting comes up. You can clearly mention that, okay, I just want a positive or a negative, right? So that is my zero shot prompting. How we can do that? Okay, so let's say I can give in here uh, reply with just one word. Let's see if it is able to understand the question that we are trying to ask. And I think we should have taken. Okay, do you think it is working in this case? Earlier, it was giving me the answer, which was a line of words, like a sentence, complete sentence. But that was not really that's what not I was expecting the model to respond with. So I mentioned it very clearly that okay, reply with one word. This is my zero shot prompting. Are you guys able to follow up? Do you guys understand what zero shot prompting is? I believe it's the easiest one. So I think you should be able to understand. If you have any doubt at any place, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we can take it from there. Yes. So let me also read what I have mentioned here in the slide as well. Instruction that sets the tone of the model. It will tell, and yes, the instruction should be very concise and very clear, so that the model is understanding and it is not getting confused in whatever the information you are trying to get, like, and it might then again miss. So your instruction has to be very clear and concise to get a consistent answer. Also, it does not affect the quality of the content. The content it has prompting has nothing to do with the content. Whatever the content LLM is generating, we are just molding it to get the response the way we want. Just like in the example we saw right now, we were getting a line of answer, but we prompted it a little better, and we were getting the answer the way we wanted it to be, like, correct. So that is the first way of prompting that we discussed right now. Feel free to put the question in the chat. Okay. Not clear, not equal to short. I didn't get this. Could you please like uh, put more details on this? Avinash, you can. Clear prompt doesn't mean short prompt. Uh, Clear prompt as in it has to be not confusing. Right now we mentioned that okay, reply with one word. If you put in some complex like sometime what happens is we are understanding it, right, and let's say I'm not good at communicating in English, and I'm trying to put in my thoughts in English, right? So I might like put a sentence like that, it is complicating. I might, when it is generally said that you use shorter sentences. Why? Because you are able to put your thoughts in clear manner in shorter sentences. When you make bigger sentences, you might tend to get confused, or the other person might not get exactly what you are referring to when you are making the longer sentences. That's why it is said that you make shorter sentences so that you are communicating in a clear manner whatever you want to communicate. Similar thing applies in here as well. That whatever you want to communicate to the model, it has to be clear, and it has to be like not confusing. Whatever you want to put it in the prompt, it has to be clear, right? No need to write one page of prompt. You can, if you can concise that in just one paragraph, that is more than enough, right? If you guys have I don't know if you have tried or not GPT-4 model, you can have your custom GPT. Whatever the instruction that you provide at the back end, it concise that into a smaller summary of whatever the prompt you are putting in, and then you are able to get the answer accordingly. There is a concise summary available in the back end. So whatever the input you are putting in, a concise summary is generated, which will act as a prompt for the model. I do not have GPT-4. Otherwise, I would have loved to, show the demonstration for that. But if you guys get the option sometime, try to create a custom GPT. You have that option available in the subscripted model, and you can play around with that. In the advanced setting, you can find the prompt that is available for the model, the concise prompt, and it is not same as what you are putting in. It will ask you a couple of questions and it is not going to be same because that is a concise summary that is available at the back end for the model as a prompt, right? Yeah. So if you have any more question, please feel free to put in the chat. And now, okay. What is the method to give zero shot prompt? What is the method to give zero shot prompt? Okay, so right in here we mention we have a clear instruction in here, right? Just like Avinash mentioned earlier, without any example, we are not giving any example to the model. We are just giving instruction. That's it. And the model will generate the answer based on the instruction that we are providing. I don't know if you guys how extensively you guys are trying ChatGPT, but I'll take my example. Let's say I'm trying to generate a post for LinkedIn, and I'm trying to outreach. The post is about my project that I have completed recently, and I want to publish it on my LinkedIn. Right? If it is odd, then answer has to be false. If it is even, the answer has to be true. Right? So we are giving nothing but one example of how it should answer like, and it has some complexity added in here that it needs to find the odd numbers and then it needs to add up. And if they are adding up to an even number, the answer will be true, else it will be false. Right? Is this making sense? We have some complex operation, and yes, it might not look that complex, but it is complex. Earlier you saw that we didn't ask it to sum up. We were asking whether the odd numbers in this group adds up to even, right? But it gave us the answer. We didn't want an answer. Let's say you are sitting in an examination and you need to mark true false, and you are then solving the problem and then writing the answer. You get a zero, right? So what we are doing in here is we are providing it the reasoning along with the question, along with the answer, right? So in here, in just one example, let's see if it is able to capture the actual essence of it and see if it is able to get the answer. Wow. So what it did is it added up all the odd numbers, and I think the answer is wrong. The answer should be true. Okay, so it could not see, it could not capture the essence correctly. So what can be the possible reason for this? Any idea? Why is it giving me false? I want to see if you guys are really listening me carefully or not. Why do you think no clear prompt? Okay, that is one. Any other reason? We need to give another example when it's true. Yes, that is also correct. Thanks, Anu. Anything else? Anything else you can think of? Let's put more example. And as Anu mentioned, we can, and to the thing no clear prompt awareness, we can see that it is able to sum up. So it is getting up to what the question is asking, but it is not exactly getting the answer. Instruction wasn't clear, yes. But do you think if I give this instruction to you, you will be able to understand a bit of it? Maybe not completely, but you can, or maybe I can provide the instruction is solve this problem, and this is a logical problem, right? So do you think because in question paper or in the test kind of scenario, you will be asked some tricky questions, and you need to analyze and you need to understand how you can answer those. When you are practicing, you are learning all those tricks that are going to be there, and then you are putting it in the exam, and you are using those skills that you have learned of handling those logical questions, handling those tricks, and then you're applying them in the examination. Exactly same is happening in here. Okay, is this making sense? Let's see if it is able to get the answer. As Anu mentioned, we have given one true, one false. Let's see. Okay, so the sum is 24, and yes, it is able to give the answer the way we want it. It added all the odd number that are available in my series that I have provided, and it gave me the answer, and this is the correct answer, right? Earlier, we were giving it just one example. As I mentioned in my previous few short explanation, we need to give the examples for the extreme cases. Extreme cases, also some general cases, but we need, if we are not giving extreme cases, the model will not understand what needs to be done in that extreme case, right? So if you can provide some examples in terms of extreme cases, that would be really helpful for the LLM or the model to understand how they need to respond in that particular scenario when this extreme situation comes up. Is this making sense? That this is called chain of thought. So you have a reasoning back at the back that is taking place, and along with the reason you are generating that answer, and how you are coming up to that answer. That is my reason. It is not simple just arithmetic operation that you did. You derived some conclusion from that mathematical operation. That's the reason. That's the process. That's the thinking that you are having at the back end, and you are making the model to learn that thinking process by giving that example and by explaining that example. Basically, the explanation that you are providing that will help the model to understand and actually put in the answer the way you want it. And our final goal is to get the answer in the way we want. It has to be consistent with respect to the way we want the answer to be like. Yeah, is this making sense? Yes. Okay. Great. That's good. And if you have any more question, we can go and we can take it further to a bit on what is chain of thoughts, zero shot, and few shot. Great. Thanks. Thank you guys for the confirmation. So we can take it further to what is tree of thought. Let's stay back a bit on what zero shots chain of thought is and what few shot chain of thought is. Let me put it with the help of example so that we are able to understand a little better. Let me see if I can get example for that. Just give me a moment. Okay, I got one example and let's see if it is able to. Okay, so the example reads says, I went to the market and bought 10 apples. I gave 2 apples to my neighbor and 2 to the repairman. I then went and bought 5 more apples and ate one. So what it is happening is it is a simple arithmetic kind of problem that I have 10 apples, 2 were given to the neighbors, 2 were given to the neighbor repairman, and I was left with 6. And then I bought 5 more, so we have 11 apples, and then I ate one, so I am left with 10. This is supposed to be the answer, but let's see if the model is able to understand. Okay, it was able to understand. I have an example where it was not able to understand even this simple problem. So what it does is it is taking all this scenario, and it is because the model is evolved. Model is trained better now. So that is in here. But what we can do is in zero shot chain of thought is we can simply say that let's think step by step. And so what it is doing in here is it is performing this operation step by step. Initially, you had 10 apples. Then you gave 2 to the neighbor and 2 to the repairman. So you are left with 10 minus 2 minus 2. You are left with 6. So what is happening in here is it is going step by step. That's what we mentioned. That's what we do in zero shot chain of thought is we just mentioned that you need to go step by step to process this, and it is going to execute whatever the scenario is coming into the question. It is going to execute that, and it is going to whatever the answer is available after that, the next step will be performed, and the new answer is available and the next step is performed, and so step by step till we get our final answer. That is our zero shot few chain of thoughts in which we are not giving example, right? And the earlier example that we saw, the one related to the logical thinking, this one we had, this was related to few short chain of thought in which we are giving few examples with respect to the extreme situation or some general situation, the way we want the model to answer. So this is my chain of thought. Now, if you have any question, maybe we can take more questions. If you have any confusion on chain of thought, zero shot or a few shot? Yes, no, no. Thanks, Sandeep. Anybody? If you have any question, put the question in the chat. If you do not have a question, put a no in the chat. Okay, thanks, Avinas. Okay, no worries. So let's. I guess you guys are following me till now. We have learned about zero shot prompt engineering. We have learned about few shot prompt engineering. We have learned a bit on chain of thoughts, few shot, and the reasoning part of it. That means a few shot, where we are putting in a complete like reason step by step. How are we getting up to the answer? Now, if we take it and make it a bit like level up the game a bit more, what we are doing in here is tree of thought. And yes, it can look like this. Because what is happening, I am not sure how many of you are aware of the decision tree learning model, the machine learning model that is there. It is similar to that. So there are multiple thoughts that are going in parallel, and this is if you do not get it, that is okay, because this concept is little too heavy, and just I'll try to explain in layman term how this is going to happen. Even if you don't get it, don't bother much, because I don't think you are going to use this more often, right? Till now, whatever we have discussed, I am sure if you use it in your daily task, whatever you are asking from the chat gpt, if you use it in the techniques that we have discussed, I'm sure you are going to get better results. You can compare with respect to the query you were putting in earlier and the query you are putting it now with the help of better prompting. So, and it is very basic that we have discussed. The instruction can be really amazing, and it can really increase your model capability to generate the answer. What tree of thought does is it is similar to the decision tree that we have in the machine learning. What happens is machine learning, there are multiple nodes that are there, and each node is doing something, and you are taking different path, like different nodes are taken, parent node, child node, and you are coming up to the leaf node that is there to make a decision. Exactly same is happening in here, tree of thought. What is happening is there can be multiple reasons. Let's say currently our chain of thought was handling one set of questions. You are giving examples for one set of questions, right? But let's say if I want to increase, you don't go to a question, you don't attempt a question paper by just learning one technique. Even in your college or even in your school, you have multiple multiple ways of integrating or differentiating, right? I remember there are, I believe, 6 to 7 or 8 methods of integration in class 12th, right? So if there can be different methods of some basic problem, why can't it be that we can make our model to solve different problem with the help of chain of thoughts, right? So what we do is we give examples for different kind of problems that are going to come up with for the model. And the what model will do in this particular scenario, all the possible scenario that you have added in the example, it is going to evaluate the user question on all the aspect parallelly. Everything is going to run in parallel. Model will run all the possible scenarios in parallel, and whichever gives the answer will be available for the user. Is it making sense? There are multiple, let's say there is a problem that sums up two number. There is another problem that let's say perform a division. There is another example that finds the area of the triangle. So these are different kind of problem statement that you have given example for to your model. And a user query comes up, you don't know what kind of query the user is going to put in. So what the model is going to do is it is going to execute the user query on based on all the scenarios or the example that you have given in parallel, right? The reasoning, whatever the reasoning you have provided to solve one problem statement, will be available to like all three. Let's say you have given when it needs to perform sum, how you need to perform that sum. You want to add, or maybe we can take a little more complex. like given a series of number or giving us a list of numbers, you need to sum up the odd from that list. That is, so you need to find first, you need to find the odd number, and then you need to sum them up, and then you need to put true or false. The another one can be, I'll give you a list of number, and the list of number is like the sides of the triangle, and you need to find the area. So first you need to find the side of the area, and then you need to apply a formula, that okay, that this particular formula that you need to apply, and you need to come up with the answer. That's the chain of thought that you are putting in each example. And when the user query comes up, how do you think the model will understand what kind of problem statement it is, and what kind of example they need to apply it, which thought process has to be applied in that particular scenario? Model do not know that, right? So what model is going to do, it is going to execute all the examples. And whichever, if you are giving a list, let's say you are giving 10 numbers in the list, and you are trying to apply the triangle formula, it will fail. It will not come up to a conclusion, it will not generate an answer out of it. So model will automatically understand, okay, the problem statement is with respect to adding up the odd numbers and generate the output. So that's how the output is generated in this particular scenario. That's a tree of thoughts. And you might, I don't think you will be using this concept, and you will be playing around more with the few shot, or maybe chain of thought sometimes. But few shot is something that is going to really help you understand and increase your model capabilities, right? And if you have any more questions, we are open for the questions now. I believe I have surpassed the time. Yeah, we have a couple of minutes left. No worries. If you have any more questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we can take it one by one. And also your understanding on and how you are going to use the prompt engineering in your daily use case, I also would love to hear on that. So how are you going, or how today's session is going to help you prompt better the query that you are putting in for the chat GPT or any model that you are using it? Does, I believe, this chain of thought, does chain of thought is used to drive more logical problem? Yes. So chain of thought is nothing but you are increasing the model capacity to handle logical problems whenever there is something logic that is taking place. So okay, let me put let me see if I can find that particular example. I was just going through and I got that answer. Just give me a moment, let me see if I can find that. Okay, okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, so this is the example that I have found. This is clearly, if you see, this is awesome, is categorized as negative. This is bad, is categorized as positive. So I believe there is something logical is happening in here, through which model is going to understand that the model needs to categorize the awesome thing as negative and the bad thing as positive. Irrespective of, if you talk in terms of sentiment, the awesome has to go with the positive, but something logical thing is happening at the back end, and it is understanding that if it is a positive kind of thing, it has to reply as negative. So this is the thing that I am providing in here is, and it is able to understand how it needs to answer. So what a horrible show, and it give it as a negative. Ideally it shouldn't. Let me see if I can find more example. Okay, let's see, let's try with this. What a horrible show. So this time what we are doing is we are giving the correct sentiment. The awesome is positive, and yeah, this is able to do it this way. Why didn't it do the earlier one? Let's see. Any thoughts on why it couldn't produce the answer in the first scenario? This is the scenario. Let's put it in this way. I am still waiting for any answers. Why is it happening? Why did it happen? What do you think? Do you think it will be able to give me in this particular logic? Will it be able to classify this what a horrible show as the category that we are trying to put in? Yes. Okay. Any no? Why no? And yes, so why yes? Avinash and Sandeep. Why I want some supportive arguments for your answers. And yes, chain of thought is for logical thing only. If there is nothing logical, there is no point of chain of thought. Chain of thought means you are giving in the reason how to come up to that answer. You got it? Any I am still waiting for the argument that movie it won't be able to understand which movie user is talking about. Yes, that is correct. There is enough example for the model to understand. Avinash says that it will understand it correct and going to answer. And Sandeep says that it will not understand which movie are we referring to. Okay. So let's just analyze the example that we are providing in. This is awesome. This is completely a positive sentence. Okay, Anu says no because I think the model is taking the data we are providing as wrongly typed and giving it answer based on the previously trained data. Which previously trained data? Like the one the model was trained on? But we are giving an example. We want the model to classify our example based on the example that we are providing in the few shots that we are giving in. And I'm sure there is some logical reasoning that is in there so that the model can understand, okay, if this is the comment from the user, it should be classified as this. So we are giving that examples so that it can understand. Let's just take the example one by one. This is awesome. I believe everybody will agree that this is a positive sentiment, and it is categorized as negative. So it is like we are categorizing in an opposite way. This is bad. Again, it is a negative, but we are categorizing it as a positive. Okay, next statement. Wow, that movie was bad. Do you think anybody says it like that? We have wow and bad in the same sentence. Do you think that can make model confused? What do you think? Will the model get confused in this particular example or not? Yes, it should get confused. That's correct. So model will go through those examples and then come up to the question that you are putting in and see if it is able to answer the question in the way the question you are putting in. I'm sorry, guys. Can we extend it just 2 to 3 minutes more? I'll not take more of your time. We have already extended today's session. Okay, so let's try removing this and see if it is able to. Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. So let's see. We have removed the word wow, and we are just putting in that movie was bad. So and we are categorizing it as positive. So let's see, and also wow, what a horrible show. Can we make it more simpler for this particular scenario, or we can take it like this only? And also tell me what can be the answer of this text that we are putting in. Please write your answers in the chat, and we'll close within next 2 minutes. It should be positive. Okay, Avinash says it should be positive. Anybody else? Anu, Sandeep, Sukanya. Sandeep says negative. Okay, Avinash says positive and Sandeep says negative. Is this? Do you think this statement is confusing? So if we have conflicting answers here, like we have all these answers and we have our own acumen to answer this. What do you think the model will be able to grab the understanding based on these three examples and will be able to answer it correctly? Yes, no, confused. Sukanya says confused. You are confused, or will the model get confused? Model will get confused. Okay. Okay, so maybe you can suggest me some query or some text that we can put in here so that the model do not get confused and it can answer the way we want it, so that it can classify it correctly. Because that's why I'm saying that, because if it says that it will be categorized as positive, so Avinash says, okay, I said it will be a positive, but then Sandeep will say why it will be a positive. It should be negative. So that the statement might be confusing. That's why I am requesting, like, if anybody can put in some example, or I can take it. Uh, it's a horrible show. Okay, do you think that will be uh, good enough example? Maybe we can put it in more, little more simple. Do you think? Okay, Avinash says let's give it a shot. Okay, maybe we can put it bit more simpler. I like it. That is some, like, that is a clear meaning in it, right? So let's see if it is able to get the answer out of it, and we need to also wind up it really quick. So I like the sentiment. I like it would typically be considered as positive. Why do you think it got classified as positive? Tell me, guys. What do you think? Any idea why it was classified as positive? Let's take this and let's create an instance and see if it is consistent with respect to the answer. The sentiment of this would be positive. Okay, let me redraft my prompt. I like it should be positive. Okay, the model is not behaving the way we want it to behave. Is it? Okay, so it is correcting. First of all, it is correcting the sentiment and then it is giving me the answer. Okay, so maybe we can prompt it little better. Okay, let's see if it is able to give it. Okay, so we tried to prompt it little better and we got the response the way we want it, right? So this is what is happening with the prompting. You need to try different prompts and come up to the you come up to a prompt that can give the output the way you want it, right? So we are able to get a prompt which can categorize, which can extract the essence of the example that I am putting in, and it is able to provide me the answer based on the example that I have provided, and I am able to get the response. Is it clear? Are these prompting method limited to text-based model? What kind of prompting used in mid-journey kind of model? Okay, so mid-journey is a image generation model. So we have different, like, different aspect of it and different model again. uh, yesterday we discussed multi models, right? If there are different kind of model which are trained on different aspect. Currently we are discussing the prompting that we are putting in. It is augmented with the user query. If you can add up your prompt with the user query, you can generate the output. If mid journey, let's say you are using mid journey and you are asking mid journey to generate the image, just like DALI you are putting in, so you are putting in a text and generating an image. If you can add your instruction along with the user query, whatever the your user query you are putting in, you can add it manually, just like here we are putting in. You can add your instruction, your prompt, your example like this. Maybe in the mid journey case you won't be able to provide the example, because for example you need to provide the images again. That might not be easy, right? So what you can do is, you can use text. Maybe mid journey you won't be able to give, so it might not be able to capture the exact prompt. But this example based, this logical based is suitable for text based models, right, Avinash? Was I able to answer your query? And guys, it's I have already taken 10 minutes of your time. If you do not have any more question, you are free to drop. That's all that we have for today. If you have any questions, maybe we can take 5 more minutes to close up on the questions. Okay, Sandeep says, how to determine which prompt technique has to be used in our task? How to know what is the complexity of our task or query? Okay, so if you are building your model, so you will decide what kind of things you want your model to do, right? You are the owner. You will decide what the model will perform. You will control all that. If you are making a model that will answer, let's say, if I am putting it this way, you want the answer to be sarcastic every time. Whatever the user asks for, the answer has to be sarcastic. That's your model. You do not want everybody to use it. You build your own use case, and let's say you have built this model and you are trying to share it within your friend circle. That's it. You are not trying to publish it, or even if you are trying to publish it, you know this particular model is going to answer this way only. It will answer sarcastically. So you will define the task, you will define the use case of your model, and the answer will be generated based on that. If you are defining a mathematical problem and you are giving example for certain problems, you are defining the limitation of your model. If the user query comes outside that, then it depends upon whatever the LLM wants to, it will generate out of that. If it does not find anything in the example, if the example is available, it will prefer whatever the way answer is generated in the example, it will use it. So is this making sense? If anybody has any more questions, okay, thanks Sandeep. If anybody has any more question, you can put it in the chat. Anu, Avinash, Suchita, Sukanya, if you have any more question, please feel free to put it in the chat. Okay. Sandeep says, and how to get better at giving prompts? Practice. Just one word answer would be practice. You try different prompt, different use cases, and you get better at. It is iterative process. Yes. Does it require any knowledge or experience about any topic? No, it does not require it, because you are going to model to ask for something. Let's say you are trying to code, you are trying to create a function, and the function, let's say, should have definition. The function should be to solve a mathematical problem. Let's say you are mm, let's say you will put in three numbers and the return should be the area of the triangle, or the return should be whether these three dimension are of a triangle, whether it is possible to make a triangle with uh, these three numbers, that is the length that I am providing in the operation that you are going to put in the function. So maybe you can give an example how the function should look like, and in the example you can mention, or you can provide, okay, my function should have like the header. It should have it should accept integers as argument. There should be definition to this function. There has to be a return statement to this function. You can define these kind of instruction very clearly in the prompt that you are putting in, and then you will be able to. So if you are putting in a prompt, that means you know something about that concept already, and then you are trying to get the answer, and then you are trying to mold the answer. If you do not know that concept, how do you think you will be able to mold it? If you are learning every like let's say you are learning the concept fresh, you do not know anything about that concept, how do you think you can prompt it? You can put it some simple prompt, let's say answer it in a simple English, or explain line by line. This kind of prompt can be used any scenario, anything. Even if you do not know what the concept is, what the concept you are asking about, it is completely new concept to you. You can ask that in these kind of prompt. But if you want some technical change in the answer, maybe some logical thing in there, you need to have the understanding of that, and that's where the examples comes in, the few shots comes in, or the chain of thought comes in. Yeah. And again, as Avinash mentioned, it is a iterative process. You use one prompt and you see how the answer is like, and then you, if you find that okay, it is not like the way I want, you then again like rephrase whatever the prompt you are giving into, so that you make sure the model is understanding is correctly understood. Okay, thanks. Thank you so much, Sandeep. If anybody has any more questions, we can take it. Else, we can call it a day. I have already consumed 15 minutes past our session. Thank you so much, Avinash. Okay, so if you do not have any queries, let's call it a day. Thank you, everyone. I hope I was able to help you understand the prompting, and you will be able to use the prompt better now to get the answers from the chat GPT or any model that you are using. Okay, chalo, have a good day. Bye bye.